Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Weibel's latest YouTube message. Now you will notice, of course, that it's going to be a little bit different this time because you're not going to see me as I'm channeling. And why this is that about a week ago I had a very strange day. I felt very restless, almost a sense of anxiety, as if something was going to happen and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't keep my body still. I was sitting in the armchair and my legs kept moving. And in the end, I thought, well, I'll just go to bed and maybe I'll be able to relax there. And then about an hour after I went to bed, I still hadn't got to sleep. And I just knew I had to get up and I had to go to my study, put on the recording machine and channel a message from Weibel. So this is what happened. And it's one of those things that I just couldn't stop. It's maybe rather like when one is pregnant. I don't know. I've never been pregnant, obviously. And the contractions begin and you just have to go through with it. And so that's how I felt it the other week. When I was writing the book, the first book, God is Never Late, God is Nooit te laat, as most of you know it, it was the same thing. I couldn't just go every morning, sit down in front of my computer and allow the words to come. It would only be if there was a special urge, like sometimes one gets an urge to go for a walk, cook something, have a shower, and I couldn't resist it. I had to go and sit down, and then the message would come. So Weibel is not going to just turn up because it's in my diary, in my rhythm. It's always when it's the right time for him. So this is why I'm sorry to say, you're not going to see me channeling this message, but I hope it won't detract from the importance of the message for you. There's some quite powerful stuff in there. So, maybe it's even better that you don't see me and you can just be enjoying listening to the words. So thank you once again. I appreciate your interest in Weibel and his messages, and I hope you will find some rich food for the soul in what you're going to hear. Till the next time. Bye-bye. My very dear friends, sometimes one of you will ask me a question, an important question, and my only response, my only answer is to say, well, I will happily answer your question. But how many hours or days have you got to hear an answer that will do justice to your question? And why I'm starting my message to you today like this is to offer a kind of apology. Because in bringing to you words of encouragement and wisdom and truth, there's little more I can do than offer sound bites, easily digestible sound bites. And of course, because it's easy to digest, you will find through connection to your own deeper knowing that you know what I'm saying already. There is nothing new in what I can tell you. The truth is that now the story is so big, and no words are ever going to be able to fully satisfy the curiosity, the anxiety, the interest, the passion, the calling that we see so many of you feeling in the deepest part of you. So in advance of my message to you, I apologize that the story is indeed too big to give words to. And when something is too big to give words to, when the implications of the story are as big as they are, the solution for you is to go within and to listen. To listen, first of all, to the silence, because silence can sometimes contain a very beautiful message. And because silence is the language of God. It's not the easiest language to learn. But if you are sincerely wanting to be the mouthpiece of God and of truth, then it is important that first you practice the language of silence. In this moment I'm talking to you now, It would not help you, it would not interest you or hold your attention if I was just to say, let us be silent. I suggested maybe following this message, that this is the decision you make, because it is in the silence and in the listening that you will hear what is said in between the lines. The resonance will be there, and you will experience, I hope, the language of God. It is in the language of God, in silence, that you're able to hold the space around you to facilitate the ease forward of this great movement of energy, this download of energy that you are a part of. You use the expression to download maybe in terms of what information you want to draw down to your computer. But now we are talking about a download bigger than anything that the human mind can comprehend. Once again, it is my duty to say, do not try to understand, not even to understand what information or wisdom you may be receiving. As a great saint once said, if you can understand it, it's not God. And so it's important to allow this download to happen. If you're wanting to ask me, what can I do to facilitate the movement forward, the transformation on life on earth right now, my answer is simply this: download. Download the vibration, the energies into your system, into your being. Remember this, dear friends, heaven comes to earth, not the other way around. I know some of you would love to go to heaven right now. I hear these stories often from you that you've had enough of the earthly life. You want to go back home. But let me use this moment to tell you, dear friends, you've never left home. If you identify your experience as only that which impacts upon the personality and the mind, I can understand you want some peace. But that is available to you at any moment, because in you, the real you, the spirit, is home. And so home is not to be found in leaving the body. Home, the true peace, is to be found by going within and by downloading that highest frequency of divine energy into your being. Then you will no longer feel the resistance to the earthly life, the judgment of what is happening around you. You'll be able to be, as the Master Jesus said, in the world, but not of it. So, dear friends, the story is a big one. The biggest you will ever experience in your life, maybe the biggest experienced for hundreds of years. What a wonderful opportunity is with you. And it asks you to extend your capacity in the same way. If I use once more a metaphor relating to your modern day technology, sometimes it's necessary to create more space, to buy space for your computers, to be able to store more information. And we want you to now download this more space, that you can hold within you more frequencies of truth, that your presence will expand as a result, that you will feel this extension, this expansion of your being that will call you sometimes, I'm sure you recognize this, just to be still, just to sit, just to go within, to feel the pulsation in your body, to feel the pulsation in your heart chakra, to turn in and find only space. And to do this, dear friends, is not a pointless exercise. To do this is you downloading heaven to earth. It is downloading peace. It asks nothing more than for you to be and enjoy the silence of that peace, which is the language of God. And out of that peace, out of that silence, will emerge something. A movement of energy that might be a physical movement. It might be a movement of energy in words that find expression, that come to you out of the silence. It may be just a radiance of divine love that is going to touch and uplift anybody who makes contact with it. We know how keen you are to find something to do, but that doing will only have the power of being able to have any influence at all if it is born out of stillness, out of the silence, if it is the language of God speaking first in the power of presence, not a personal presence, not your presence, but the presence which is divine love. This is the first step. Do not rush to do, as you hear me say so often, you are human beings, not human doings. There is no rush in the sense that you are going to see your planet destroyed in any moment near. But there is a hunger, a deep hunger in your souls to be able to extend yourselves, to fulfill this bigger purpose. And one of the advantages, one of the gifts of this will be that as your presence expands, as your stillness deepens, as your radiance becomes greater, this will start to neutralize so much of what is now eating away at the core of human civilization. You are concerned, we know at the moment, about a virus that is affecting many, but the virus that affects most is that which is spread by gossip, that which is spread by fear, that which is spread through what you call your conspiracy theories. This is a virus that needs to be stemmed. I want to remind you, dear friends, of a story, historical story, that some of you will feel very moved by, have always felt moved by, especially those of my dear lady friends. And we think back to the time in the dim and distant past. If you can imagine the scene, a beautiful wise woman living on her own quietly, minding her own business, enjoying communicating with the elementals, working with the plants in her garden, creating herbs and healing medicines, perhaps which she shares with others. But then somebody in the community feels a little bit jealous or has a fear. And so they start whispering about her, and this whispering grows, and like an accumulating thought form, in the end, this innocent woman is branded as a witch, and she's taken and tried and found guilty to satisfy the repressed fears and concerns of those who accuse her. And she suffers a horrible death. That, dear friend, is a very early case of conspiracy theories. And there were many thousands. Not only those who were named witches, but who for no reason at all other than they upset somebody, and stories were told about them that had no chance to defend themselves, and they were led to their death. They were stretched on the rack. Indeed, and this is a difficult thought for you to contemplate, I understand, countless millions of people have died even in recent history based upon lies, based upon conspiracy theories. I don't need to mention these events. Your imagination is rich enough. But the greatest massacres, the greatest numbers of lives lost in the name of an honorable cause, that cause was inspired and driven by conspiracy theories, by fears, by unfounded gossip. Dear friends, you know that in the journey of human development, that part which is seeing the most dramatic change is in puberty, where childhood gives way to adulthood. And this is a time, dear friends, where we ask you to go through your puberty, to leave behind the childish ways, step into your adulthood. As the St. Paul said, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I did childish things, but now I am done with childish ways. Let this be your desire now, to evolve out of the influence of the lower mind of fear and suspicion and step into truth and light and co-creating with the power of God within you a better world, a harmonious world, a world without fear. And for some, it is difficult. For some, it'll be a challenge because who are you if there's nobody to blame? Who are you? How interesting is life if you see everybody as innocent. We understand the fear that keeps many of you in the old order. It's like when two oceans meet. There's turbulence at the point of meeting. And what we're asking you now is to risk crossing into that new ocean, crossing the turbulence, leaving behind the old, the childish ways, as St. Paul would have called it, stepping into peace, stepping into your true nature, downloading the light and the love for the sake of humanity. This is where your fulfillment lies. This is where you will find your greatest joy in living. This is where you'll be able to be fully satisfied with incarnation. This is where the old habits will die. This is where you will discover the ecstasy of the fearless, radiant heart. All the time you are ruled by your mind, in duality and suspicion. You're going to be in pain. It is an expression of your pain. Move on, dear friends. Move up. Cross that divide. Cross the turbulent waters. And many of my friends are manning the lifeboats. They will be there to rescue you. It must happen in all areas of life. It must happen in religions. It must happen in politics. It must happen in education. There cannot be one area of human life that is not asked to make this transition. I've often spoken about those who many believe are the ones who hold the power. You call them the Illuminati. And they're part, of course, of your conspiracy theory stories. And I've said often that they, faced with God, are like straw in the wind. Their power is illusory. But when that time would come, and they're faced with God, it's not for you to wait for some amazing event to happen. That'll be in all your televisions and newspapers, and people will recognize, oh, what is this amazing miracle that has happened? When I say faced with God, that is also, dear friends, faced with the God that is within you. Faced with the radiance of divine love for you. You may not feel the courage or necessity to go and knock on the door of your political leaders and hope that you will be there absolutely turning them away from their ill-gotten gains, transforming them into light beings. No, it has to be a collective effort. But faced with the God that is present in all, then their power, that illusion of power, will dissolve. This is your task. Don't wait for other people to do it. This is the time of stepping out of your comfort zone. This is the time of realizing just what is capable for you to do with that power of God. Don't waste it. Don't sit on it. Don't sit on your light. Don't silence your voice when you feel the urge to speak truth. Don't worry what other people are going to think. It is your duty, dear ones, at this time to step out of your comfort zones, to find your voice, to find your authority, to awaken to the power within you where there's nothing for you to fear. As it was said, if God is for you, who or what can be against you? Nothing, of course. Nothing and no one can be against you. Unless, I must qualify my statement, there is such a deeply held belief within you, in your attachment to the world of duality, that there are good forces and evil forces. We know many of our friends believe in dark energies, and so dark energies exist for them. Many people believe in angels. Angels appear to them. We are not judging any belief system at all. We know that one day or another, all belief systems will fall away. But at the moment, if you have a real understanding and longing to experience truth and freedom, then you have to step out of any belief system that reinforces duality, right and wrong, good and bad. As long as these things appear to you, it's a reminder that you still believe in it or you still fear it. The world dances to your tune. And everybody in it dances to the tune of your convictions. This is their gift to you. Nobody is against you. You need never feel that you're a victim. For whoever persecutes you will be dancing to your own belief in disempowerment and the fear of persecution. Do not add your energy to those movements of thought, of conspiracy theories that in the past have killed so many people through persecution. Without judgment, without law, just through fear. This is a harsh message. I understand that. And I also have to repeat, I will do so always, wherever you are on your journey, whatever your belief systems, whatever you may find important, there is never a judgment from us. Our desire is not to judge. Our need is not to judge. Our desire is your freedom to know truth. As the Lord Buddha said, as the oceans taste of salt, so truth tastes of freedom. Reflect upon that, dear one. As the oceans taste of salt, truth tastes of freedom. Dear friends, as always, I'm talking a lot. I understand that some of this will be easy to absorb for some and more difficult for others. Of course, you can reject every word of it. I will not take it personally. This is one of the great delights of leaving behind the dualistic mind, that there is no thing to take personally. We would like it if this was your reality too, that you could take nothing personally. Life would be much more joyful. There'd be no reason for your human heart to contract and to experience the disconnection that comes from that, from loved ones, from your environment. We do not judge. There is no judgment. There's only the force, the immeasurable force of universal love shining on you, drawing all the goodness in you to the surface. In so doing, breaking down the resistance, cracking open the shells that you, my dear friends, have been forced through no fault of your own to contain and protect yourself with, because of what you have seen and witnessed and misunderstood and the wrong conclusions you have come to. We understand the challenge that many of you face now with the obligation that is in your life to wear masks. But dear friends, you've been wearing masks for all of your lives. You've been presenting to the world an image that you hope is acceptable to the world. This is human. Now is the time to let go of those masks. Now is the time to reveal your true self, your shameless, innocent, perfect self. You don't need to dress up in anything. You don't need to dress up in any persona. As I'm sure you know, in the ancient Greek tragedies, the actors wore masks, and the word for a mask was a persona. Let your personas fall away. Not because you're going to rip them off, but because you found the place within you of truth and innocence. And your only desire is to show that. to bring your light to the world, to fulfill what we know is in your heart and souls to do, to serve humanity, to serve Earth Mother, to serve all sentient beings. To do this as best you can asks you to remove your masks, to drop the images that you present to the world, that you believe makes you more acceptable, more lovable, more whatever it is. But behind the masks is always going to be something infinitely greater than you could ever understand. Words, words, words. We know how you look for guidance from all around you. We know how you are listening to many of the great teachers who have now chosen to share their wisdom in the world, and where you have access to great teachers from the past. And these words are important snacks for your soul, but the richest food for your soul, I come back to my beginning, the richest food for your soul is in the stillness, the silence, and in the listening. And in hearing that still small voice within that will guide you step by step, day by day. It will allow you to always come to the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing. It'll create the reality with you of the world, the life that's going to serve you best and allow you to serve the world best. Surrender to it. Give over to it. Be guided and led and inspired by the language of God, which is in the silence. Peace be with you, dear friends. Peace reign in your hearts and minds. May joy radiate from you. May the power of your absolute faith in the absolute truth of the perfection of all, of the presence of God in everything, and the certainty of the role you have to play in fulfilling God's will on earth. God is with you.